holding down the fort. A lot has happened that I've just honestly not wanted to talk about, and that's why I haven't been online. And I've also just trying to enjoy my summer a little bit. So appreciate you taking up the hour these last couple of weeks. I went to the USA Turkey game in Los Angeles, which was really fun. Yeah. It didn't matter. We had already won our group, but it was cool to see a World Cup game in person. A friend of mine from college took me. He's Turkish, so he got a vested interest in going. And then, man, I got to tell you, I'm always like mindful of who's watching this that knows me, but I got to tell you, just straight up, the 4th of July parades out here on the West Coast are a fucking joke. Like, I hope, my friends that I was with watching the parade with this weekend, I was just like the power monopoly had a truck. There was the fire truck, and then there was the cop cars, and then there was the flag float, and there was another flag float. It was, it was just awful.
Dude, there's a reason the Pride Parade is much more fabulous and amazing than the 4th of July parade.
Well, in California anyway.
Well, anywhere, because it's the straights designing what they're gonna do, and it's gonna be, let's have the cops follow the firefighters this year instead of the firefighters following the cops. So you've been out for a couple weeks. There's been some big DSA wins. There's been some progressive wins. I literally yesterday just talked to a member of DSA New York, who I campaigned for Lindsey Boylan with. And just talking about like what's next, and I've been dying to hear what you think about like, hey, what the fuck? Like now DSA has a big spotlight. You need a YouTube channel, a Twitch stream, media figures to go on the Sunday shows.
Yeah, it's not going to happen anytime soon. DSA doesn't want to be centralized. And it doesn't really have the kind of leadership structure that would produce what you're talking about, because what I've talked about with what they should do, there's a natural salesmanship that you and I have in us. Persuasion. And it's it's a specific form of persuasion. It's unfortunate that it is perceived as salesmanship, or that salesmanship is even sleazy. What if salesmanship actually meant informing the customer about something that they didn't know they needed? Like car insurance. I don't know. Could be anything like that. But anyway,
free healthcare.
you and I are all about trying to make shit popular. We want to make shit popular, and the DSA and their discipline paid off with the Graham Plattner situation. The DSA is very strict about its endorsements and about who it chooses to support. And cheers to them for remaining tight on that. Yeah. But I think we're both in the same boat of like, okay, the snowball is building as it's rolling down the hill here. What are we going to do when it reaches the bottom, which is, elections in November? When these people actually come into power. Like, we need to make them household names. Yeah. And I think we can. I think it's just, this is the first wave, and then the second wave will be the presidential election when people really show up.
Yeah. And, with this whole Plattner situation, that's what we're talking about right now. I think it's important to wrestle with the idea of lesser evil voting, and I think this is a good clip to kind of dispel anybody who might still be like, well, he's already there and maybe he should stay. Let me throw it up like this.
And
yeah, that's actually a crazy take. Things are so bad in the US that she was going to vote for her rapist. That's how fucking insane American politics is right now, because that's the other side. that she literally was like, I probably shouldn't come out about my credible rape accusation and maybe even might vote for my rapist because at least he's not a child rapist like the fucking president allegedly could be.
Do you have an echo on your side?
American politics
No.
is now a sequence of insane decisions where on the one hand you're like, well, do I want my rapist in office? Well, maybe he's going to be in support of Medicare for all, and he's anti-Israel. Whereas the other side is also rapists, some of them defenders of child rape. So I guess we got to weigh the options, like which rape is the lesser evil. The lesser evil rape trolley problem. Which, by the way, ironically enough, if he was a fucking centrist establishment Democrat, the very same people that are doing victory laps right now would literally be sincerely telling you to vote for the lesser evil rapist. Just understand, that's the distinction between the left and people like fucking Muritanen who work for the Clintons, okay?
And Cuomo.
That's the difference. They did this with Andrew Cuomo. They unironically looked at Zoran Mamdani and said, you got to vote for Andrew Cuomo, the cop rapist. What do you mean? Fast and free buses? Fuck no. He's Muslim. You got to vote for the cop rapist. Liberals will look at you dead in the eye and tell you this is a lesser evil rapist voter, and then turn around and act all high and fucking mighty.
I mean, I think that's a good point. First of all, shout out the socialist Adri, who does all the clipping for his son, and in the works to be on the show next week.
Oh, sweet.
But yeah, I mean, so there's also, I mean, we can react to that, but this is shorter, and this is also someone who's still kind of, this is making that argument too, and a slightly different one.
Yeah, I'll have some insight after this one.
Unbearable position of having to adjudicate something that should have been adjudicated in a court of law if this actually took place. If someone entered my home and forcibly raped me, I would not allow the individual who forcibly raped me, that's violent, right, to remain in my home and sleep it off. But that is what she did. She alleges he was so drunk that she didn't want to tell him to leave because he might harm someone on the road. He's just forcibly raped you, right? Call the cops, or more importantly, the house. But she did neither one of those things.
That's not how you judge it. Pause it real quick.
This is
So this is easy for men because it's just a pretty easy situation to evaluate when you're a man. However, the woman says she dealt with it is how she dealt with it for the reasons she said she dealt with it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no...
He could kill her.
Like, yeah, she's extremely vulnerable. Like, women live in the fear of physical harm from men in a much more prolific way than we do of them, okay? So, to say you should have called the cops, you should have done this, you should have done that, shut up. You don't know what she was dealing with or going through at that time. Here's how I know he's guilty. Two things. One is the timing of this is just ridiculous. Like, what the fuck? Like, this should have happened a while ago. And it's annoying. It's annoying that he strung people along as long as he did.
New York Times interview, and then going on Chris Hayes and saying nothing else is going to come out. Saying those words, you knew you were lying. You knew they interviewed her, and you're just hoping that she doesn't say anything else. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Yeah, man. He partied too hard and got a little obsessed with sex, obviously, if he was having sex with that woman. He was, definitely out there trying to get it. And it catches up with you if you do something as fucked up as force yourself on a woman, which I don't know. I'm average height, average weight, so I don't really. I've never really thought of actually forcing myself on a woman. But if I'm huge, maybe it's like and then you add alcohol. Maybe it's like, and he's a bigger guy.
I mean, he's in
I
the
don't.
military, and this kind of just runs in the military.
It does it. I mean, I'm reluctant to say that, but is it like the hard dominating sex kind of stereotype? Like
maybe I don't know.
Is that what leads to forced sex when you add alcohol and then it's acceptable? I mean, it's just all too complicated.
Yeah, I'm also not gonna I'm not saying like this is it's all military people or whatever or cops or whatever, but there's a reason why ACAP. And what is the military other than even more international police, international cops? Like, I'm not even going to get into his fucking psychologist. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. He's blackout. It doesn't matter. He did this shit, and then you fucking ran for office thinking wasn't going to come out. It's a level of narcissism. There's a level of entitlement, egoist, just thinking that it's all behind me. In my story, in my narrative, that he sold us. He sold people a narrative. Now, there's a lot of people claiming, oh, I was right all along. We covered it earlier. McCarthy and Neera Tanden, and both of those can go fuck themselves, right? Neera Tanden with Clinton and Cuomo, McCarthy with every Republican ever. So, go fuck yourselves. The lefties who are making this about I was right, the ones I'm seeing are motherfuckers who are like, read my newsletter, watch my stream, watch my podcast, look at my videos instead of those people's videos. They were wrong. I was right. I'm thinking particularly like Brianna Joy Gray, Vouch, Cavernacle, some of these folks who are just like, I care more about being right and winning over these peers in the online content creator space than anything to do with actually moving the needle when we're people who are saying it should have been the tattoo for y'all. Why wasn't it the tattoo?
Right.
I've explained. Fucking skull and crossbones. I couldn't pick it out of a lineup. I think there's millions of fucking designs of a skull and crossbones, one of the most common designs, especially of tattoos, but just designs in general on Earth. I wouldn't know the Nazi one. Lumen, who I'm going to talk to in an hour, he was saying he should have known. He's in the military. The military has fucking screenings for those kind of tattoos. They should have known. Now, how much the military cares about white supremacist tattoos is also a question. Right, so if you're in the military and you have that, and they might be like, "We're going to look the other way."
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. Look, we talk these fucking talking points, the angles on the issue, what we should have seen coming, what we whatnot. What's the lesson? All right.
I think the lesson is the ideals that he was espousing beat establishment Democrat Janet Mills by 50 fucking points.
Right.
I think that's the story.
That's the lesson for you, and I think the lesson for, that's one lesson. Maybe there are multiple lessons. Anyway, the one lesson that I was thinking of was, don't just buy into the aesthetic.
Yes.
You got a camera-friendly, bearded guy from Maine with a nice deep voice and a working class story, and now he's doing what you just referenced, saying all the right things about all the right issues, talking about going anti-establishment. Yeah, vetting should be the biggest lesson. That's maybe the DSA has an opportunity to assert itself here as the foremost authority on vetting, and because they did not endorse him, and he didn't. Maybe I don't know why he didn't seek their endorsement, but he didn't. And I think that it's a big mess, and hopefully this new guy that they can I don't know what his name is, but they were going to maybe replace Planner. Yeah, he'll hopefully replace, and we can still get rid of Susan Collins.
Yeah,
but it's a big mess, and Plattner's not the guy that I thought he was. I admit I was wrong about him. But I always did the Nazi tattoo and the military service and the PTSD and stuff. It's like, well, how much of that shit has he actually dealt with?
Right.
Like, he says he's changed, says he's done therapy and whatever, but I never heard the truths. Like, that's what therapy is really about, is discovering truths about yourself that you don't want to maybe come to terms with. And you need someone to help you get there. Yeah. So he never, and he did talk about that with, like, I'm a changed person, I was not that person, but, well, who was that person and who are you now?
Right.
He didn't get, and this is my issue.
And why was that person wrong?
And this is my issue with a lot of people who are hating on the Plattner supporters. Yeah, right, exactly. How'd you grow? Yeah. How'd you get better? How'd you learn? How'd you evolve? Is that, we just got a little excited about a piece of talent and about taking out Susan Collins. Like, the reason why he got so much attention, yeah, he probably was a lot because he's a good-looking straight white guy from a purple state.
Yeah, who sounds like Ron Swanson. And
he also was about to take out a huge pillar of conservative federal power with Susan Collins.
Yeah, and
people seem to have forgotten that. But at the end of the day, whether or not this was rape, I don't know. But only the two of them really know, I guess, or maybe only she does because he was wasted and probably maybe doesn't even remember.
Yeah.
But it should have come out sooner. And if he was innocent, if he was 100% confident that he didn't rape her or that it wasn't forceful in any way, he would have denied it like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
He'd be doing all the shows and he'd be trying to salvage people's hard work.
Yeah, there'd be some kind of countersuit or proof or something. But again, I think it's the fact that they're not, the fact that we're basically waiting on him to drop out. I think it's a foregone conclusion. And again, let this not, like you said, the military background, a lot of people pointed to that as why you shouldn't have trusted him in the first place. And I was right all along.
That's a stereotype. And we got to address stereotypes and acknowledge them and then criticize them directly in order to get rid of them. But that, I think that's especially hearing the guy, I believe this was a fractured guy that had a little bit of talent, a lot of good intentions, but obviously had a problem with partying. And he just felt entitled to sex from someone. I think he felt entitled to sex from someone he had already had sex with. And that's why he showed up there. Yeah. That's why he showed up there and felt entitled to, I guess he forced himself on her, but that's what she says. No one knows for sure. Yeah, what?
I know. I just wouldn't chalk it up to partying. Cause even thinking about the Reddit posts and where people are oh, you should have known from the Reddit post. Looking back on the Reddit posts, the most inflammatory ones were posts kind of victim blaming and talking about hey, women, don't be around men when they're intoxicated. That's kind of on you. Or, watch what you're dressed like and shit like that. Which, again, he said he's moved on from and whatnot, but he didn't ever explain how, never really addressed each one and kind of lumped it all in as these are bad posts. Which, again, I think it's fair for supporters who have been at this point in running for office, everyone's going to have bad posts at some point in their fucking life.
Yeah, so, the posts are survivable. The tattoo and now this allegation are not survivable.
Yeah, but the military background. I just want to play this clip from Hassan again about why maybe don't throw out all military people. Even again, I understand why the uncommitted movement existed and not to vote for Harris. You're dude. I know someone who has family getting bombed right now. Trying to tell them, hey, you got to vote for this person whose administration is actively bombing your family is no fucking brainer. So anyone who has family who's been affected by the fucking military, of course, it's like anyone who has a family member who was killed by the cops. It's nothing, no kind of support, no anyone who was an officer is gonna be. I'm gonna support them for office at any point. But also acknowledging that the military is highly valorized in this country, It's highly propagandized in this country. It's also the best job route for a lot of people on purpose, because in this country, it's valid for Hassan, and I think the left broadly. Not that he's our voice or whatever. I'm just saying it's a good argument. That's why I grabbed this clip of not immediately closing the door on anyone who's ever served in the military.
This is how we go down the spiral of Hassan defends Grand Platinum for hours, because the conversation does not stay with Grand Platinum. It turns into, why don't you think all troops are baby exploiters and child murderers who are rapacious monsters that are bloodthirsty and irredeemable? Yes, on principle, I will never fucking have that attitude. There are plenty of veterans in this community, and plenty of anti-war veterans in this community, anti-imperialist veterans in this community, and I welcome them here. And this is a place where they can feel safe. I don't give a shit if you turn around and say that's unacceptable. This is a consistently held principled position that I've had from day one. Okay? I care not about what you have done. I care about how you atone for what you have done. Who you are now matters to me most.
I mean, I think that makes sense. Look, I was talking with Andrea earlier, and I brought up the airmen on July 4th who protested for Trump's impeachment on the steps of the Capitol, foregoing his pension after 20 years as an airman. And a lot of people on the day were saying, "Oh, what a hero!" And I'm like, he's part of the military. He spent 20 years, if not killing people actively, helping kill people actively in the military. So if you're going to throw out anyone in the military, you're also throwing out Chelsea Manning. You're also throwing out people who could be part of this coalition. And if there's only two options in this country, or three, there's no voting, right? There's no voting, so it doesn't really matter. But there's Republican or Democrat. And if you want to, and we're taking over the Democratic Party. So there's going to be a learning curve for a lot of people of what are the standards? This is why it's important that it's not me, it's us, right? It's not Plattner, it's the platform that he ran on.
Right. So I think he'll be forgotten over time.
Yes, exactly. And I think that, if you tell everyone in the country, by the way, if you want to be part of this movement, this exciting Zohar Mamdani, progressive, democratic, socialist movement, you can't be part of the military, you can't be a veteran, then they're all going to go to the Republicans, and we don't want that.
I don't think that should be the attitude. I would say just two things. One is, if you have a military background, you're definitely welcome to be part of the progressive movement and the DSA. Just make sure you park that military fucking way of relating people to people when you come to meetings and shit. Right. And also understand that you are not going to be entitled or favored for a position of leadership simply because you served in the military.
Yeah.
Might be my only two things to say about military service members joining the leftist coalition.
We've been talking about this now for a year since we met, basically going you want to join, fine, but you're going to vote. That's all you're going to do. You're not going to tell us who to vote for. You're not going to pitch your own candidates. You're not going to run yourself. And I think maybe that's where Plattner should have stayed. Plattner should have been a voter and just voted for whoever. And with true, again, vetting, like Wanda brought up earlier, vetting is a big part of this. And whatever organization was involved with that, high scrutiny, get the fuck out of here. Levels of disrespect now, because I looked it up briefly. There's a guy like Dan Morath who is trying to shake up the way Democrats vet candidates, and it's basically we did a speedy vetting process just to get him out there because we liked him aesthetically. Exactly, dude. That's exactly what they said, and it's fucking it blew up in your fucking face and hurt the whole movement. So fucking get your shit together. Get your shit
Well, Lumen's going to take a victory lap because he was right about I remember specifically that he had issues with Plattner from the get-go.
Yeah, and I'm ready.
So, yeah, so Lumen's going to have score some credibility points here, but I'm sure he's not going to be an asshole about it. And like,
No,
I
that's
was,
the best
to be precise, you know, I always have my reservations because of the military background. I was always like, well, you know, again, back to what I was saying earlier, like you say you've done this work in therapy, what are the results of that work? You know, where you say you've grown, well, how? Right? You have to talk about yourself at some point in campaigns and how your leadership is going to be better than others. And like I said, if he were innocent, this would really, and this is just he knows for sure that he didn't do this, then he would be saying he would be handling himself a lot differently.
Yeah.
But this is it, man. This is hopefully this is the last time we have to do this for a progressive for a while. Because like you said, he was saying the right things.
Yeah. But you know what? Let's leave Plattner in the past. Again, we're waiting to see if he speaks and you know drops out. But let's move on to someone better, someone much better, someone with no controversies, and who just had a debate last night. That is Abdul El Sayed in Michigan. And this is a clip of him talking about ICE. I got a whole bunch of clips from this debate. Haley Stevens looks like she's floundering. It is a battle for the soul of the Democratic Party. And the way that establishment is trying to connect Abdul and Plattner is going to fall apart. And it's not going to work, I don't think. But here we go.
ICE is not about immigration. ICE is not about the southern border. I was on nearly the northern border. ICE is about normalizing paramilitary force on our streets. I've been clear that you can't reform ICE. You can't retrain ICE. You have to abolish ICE. Now, that's not to say that we can't secure our border. That's not even to say that we can't actually enforce our immigration policy. That is to say that we shouldn't do it at the edge of destroying our Constitution itself. ICE is a new agency. It is younger than I am. We have done this in the past in a way that respects the basic rule of law. And if we're serious about actually having a pathway in this country to a humane, thoughtful, common sense immigration system, we've got to invest in the court infrastructure that offers a pathway to citizenship for people who built a life here, lived here peaceably, and contributed to our society. I think that's the responsibility we need to go to while keeping our southern border safe and secure. I mean, my colleague voted to thank ICE.
Yeah, I mean, so again, just doing a stellar debate performance. I should also point out that the third candidate in this race, Mallory McMorrow, dropped out the other day. So
really?
Did
she endorse anyone?
No, not yet. Abdul put out a reply. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find it. He replied to her on the day of, saying, "Hey, Mallory supporters," because apparently he and Mallory had a kind of a friendlier relationship at the beginning of the race. And so he put out a like, "Hey, come over here. Like, we're welcoming you to the party if you'd like to join." And I think that was a pretty good way. And he did it right away, whereas it took Stevens about a day or two to reach out to McMorrow supporters. I can't find it. There's too many.
It's okay.
So we got some more clips from the debate. This is. I mean, just Stevens is not even really putting up a fight. This reminds me honestly of Janet Mills a little bit. Like, I don't even know if she really wants to run. It feels like she was tapped, and it's like, I guess I got to do this just to maintain the corporate power that we're all getting paid by.
Impact childcare and make it more affordable for families.
30 seconds.
Look, if you want somebody who's electable, the last 3 polls in a row show that I'm the most electable Democrat in November. Why?
Yeah.
Because you got to actually fight for something. It's not enough to offer people 2 options that kind of look the same on the issues that matter the most. If you're taking money from corporations, the same corporations, Democrat or Republican, how different are things really going to be? I'm offering an opportunity to actually invest in what we want to fight
She does sound like Bobby.
for healthcare that is guaranteed, for an economy that works for working people, for finally getting corporate money out of our politics.
Well, with all due respect to Abdul, I think
You got to fight for something other than just fight against Trump. Because
Yeah.
what's the difference? What's the difference if the tie is blue or red if I still can't afford gas? You know?
Yeah, I think that's a good message for normies. I mean, whatever gets them to your fucking internet page, and then the rest should take care of itself from there. I mean, I'm of the opinion that there's just no excuse anymore for not having a website that when people Google you, that just explains not just through text, but through video or some other kind of easy to consume way, explains the positions of the candidate. And he's giving the debate answers, but he really wants to talk about that stuff for another 10-15 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, this was a good hit when she kept bringing up his tax returns, which he said they're in the FCC, the FEC filings, you can look them up. But she's like, why won't you hand them over to me directly? And then he's pointing out you are taking APAC money, you are funding.
Because I have no respect for you. Is what he should say.
Right.
On TV by organizations like the Center for Democratic Priorities, which, by the way, didn't exist until it started to run ads for my opponent, like the United Democratic Progressives, which, by the way, is a front for APAC, like Center Forward, which bought airline tickets for my opponent, for her mother and herself, to go to Portugal. I don't know what they talked about. I don't know what they did. So if we want to talk about lies, I think it's really important for us to understand who's paying for them and what was said on the back end to allow them to be told. Because $40 million just doesn't come for free. Told on TV.
I mean, that's a pretty good one. $40 million doesn't come for free. And then the closing statement I thought was pretty satisfying here.
Know what my life would have been without the opportunity to be born here. I saw that firsthand in summers in Egypt. I know what America can do for somebody. I also knew that 15 miles away, there were kids who never got that same opportunity. We have to build an America that can be what it was for me, for all of her kids. And that means we've got to take on the ways that corporate greed have gotten in the way. We need to stand with working people, stand with humans. We need to take on oligopolies and billionaires. We need to guarantee healthcare through Medicare for all. Across my time touring the state, town hall after town hall, you could be in a church in Detroit, you could be in a living room in Lansing, VFW Hall in Escanaba. People say the same things. It just shouldn't be this hard. It shouldn't be this hard to afford your groceries. Shouldn't be this hard to pay your rent. Shouldn't be this hard to see a doctor in the richest, most powerful country in the world. And it works for me.
So, I think
He's a pro.
He's a fucking pro, man.
He's a pro.
He's doing good. I saw someone joke on Twitter the other day, DSA should just be running Muslims, just only Muslims, because they're the ones who seem to be fucking winning these races. No more white guys. And I think he's doing a fantastic job. I love it. His association with Hassan Piker, which seems to be Haley Stevens' main criticism and attack line against him.
It's weak. It's weak.
It's
Nobody
fucking
cares.
weak. And I think the great and powerful, amazing, beautiful, wonderful Summer Lee kind of exemplifies how this should be. You would love this. You'd love this this flip. How this question should be answered from going forward.
You disavow your friend Hassan Piker for inciting riots outside Delaney Hall last weekend?
Oh, well, actually, I think that Delaney Hall is a disgrace. Will you disavow your friend Laura Loomer, who calls black women ghetto black bitches?
She doesn't mean that.
How does one not
And she's
mean
my
that?
friend, but we're talking about Hassan Piker.
No, I'm talking about Laura Loomer.
Can we talk about
Black
Hassan?
women ghetto black bitches. And you agree with that? Did you disavow that?
I mean,
Because that's racism.
pretty much
to work with
joking.
someone like that?
But
Oh, that's not a joke.
no, but you can.
Okay, so here you go. So, not to, I mean, so you're half black, half white, so you have a lot more credibility here. But I'm just telling you, as far as white people goes, that Summer Lee, man, she blows Jasmine Crockett out of the water.
Amazing.
She's so much better.
Amazing.
I mean, I know, when I hear black women or people say that black women don't get enough chances, it's well, they've also had the bad luck of having Kamala Harris and who was the one from Georgia?
Stacey Abrams.
But Stacey Abrams. And then meanwhile, Nina Turner gets sidelined.
Mm-hmm.
And who else was it? The one from Missouri.
Cory Bush was running again.
Cory
just
Bush,
reimbursed
right.
by DSA.
Right, Cory Bush is like, and you know, but then Jasmine Crockett, probably just because she's in Texas, gets a lot of the press, and it's like these other black women are incredibly impressive.
Yeah,
they're better.
She also gets a lot
It's
of the
like-
press because she's not anti-war. She's pro-war. She's just
Oh
pro.
yeah, that's true.
You know, it's
She was definitely a tool for the establishment.
Let's not forget Psaki bombs. Remember Psaki bombs? Remember when Psaki was the press secretary
Yeah, sure.
for Biden, and she would dunk on like conservative reporters, and that's all that they gave a fuck about in Resist Land, Resist Sphere, Resist Liberal Twitter, and fucking MSNBC and CNN. That's why she has a show on fucking MSNBC. She was auditioning for it at that fucking podium as press secretary. Just
Right.
That's all that matters to them. And we're at the point now where that's not enough for people. It's not enough even for the brunch liberals who wanted that to be enough. They can't afford gas either. They can't afford brunch. Like,
well, I mean, I think that's the gas prices and the affordability, obviously, like just making ends meet. That is what gets people to pay attention. But you got to keep them looking, and you got to be like, you know, this is the end result of 45 years of bad decision making by our federal government, by both parties. And then you get in with the people who like say both parties suck. It's like, yeah, but we still got to make a government work out of them, okay?
Yeah.
Like, stop being a little bitch. Like, that's a bitch out. When you say, oh, both parties suck, I'm not political. Fuck you, pussy.
Right.
Get involved.
Then
Have an opinion.
Get out of the way.
I almost respect MAGA trash more than the bystander at this point, because I don't know how you can be a bystander in this country right now.
And I
There's
think,
just
you know
no
what,
one.
that's a good point. The affordability is a part of it, but I think also is the blatant corruption being
Yes.
flaunted in their face. Like
Trump
Elon Musk making Trump coin, you know, them just like having these lavish,
The pardons getting bought for like $2
banquets.
million apiece or something like that.
yeah, pardons, the ballroom. Like, yeah, the
Yeah.
ballroom's dumb to us because it's like material change. Who gives a fuck about the structure of the White House? But it really is a visual representation, the reflecting pool, you know, and that being, first of all, it literally looking like a swamp after what was done to it. And the reason it was done was so that Trump could give one of his friends some money. I'll contract out your company to restore the pool so that you can make a bunch of money, taxpayer money, literally fleecing. Like, there's never been a clearer picture of rich fat cats sucking money out of everybody else around them than this time in America, since probably the Gilded Age and the Great Depression age. And first of all, yes, welcome in Left Eye UK. Always appreciate the raids. But, you know, as exemplified by stories like this of a building here in Manhattan that is like leaning building. Cops are like cordoning off the area. This construction guy was interviewed and explains why.
We're steam fitters, local 638. We're doing the fire protection in this building. And what happened here was this building was renovated, and they were going to add another 16 stories to it. But at that point, you need to add more steel. And they obviously didn't add the right amount of steel. So the north side of that building is crumbling. The I-beams are bending like cigarettes in there, which is super dangerous. So I'm assuming they're going to evacuate everyone on the north side of 43rd Street. So, you know, we're union steam fitters. The union iron workers went after this job. They lost it pretty much off the profit is what they're looking to do. The contractor that's over here. So we're New York City. We build it right. We build it the first time. And they chose profit over safety and put my members and every construction worker over here in jeopardy.
Cliff, can you walk us through what's it going to take to get this back up to code, get this back safe?
You're going to have engineers in here.
Knock it down.
Making sure that everything is supported. And I don't know what's going to happen with the other side of the building now. Time will tell. How much did it sink? How much more is it going to sink? That's the question.
So you had members.
I mean, like, is this not just a perfect? It's decades and decades, like you've been saying, of fleecing the American people, making the argument it's too complicated, and all these disparate issues are disparate issues that are unrelated, racism and building codes and voting rights and women's rights. And now, just because of, again, the phones, the social media, the reality TVification of everything, the fact that we're random fucking people talking into microphones on the goddamn internet, and people care about what we have to say, just like they care about Rogan because it's a fucking comedian talking to the internet. Just because someone's talking to, we can actually simplify and go, capitalism. It's capitalism. It's fucking greed. It's greedy people trying to fucking make money over the safety of people because they don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about the people they're hiring to put in the buildings, or they're selling apartments to, or whatever it is. The apartment building in Florida that just like collapsed.
Yeah.
Like it's rotting. The foundations of our fuck democracy, reality, are crumbling. The world's been run by a cabal of fucking pedophile sex traffickers for the last 40, 50 years. It's still up and running. It's just missing a valuable piece in Jeffrey Epstein. And they're running the world continuously now. We gotta fucking do something. And, you know, as much as there's fucking Luigi's and the guy burning down a warehouse in California and whatever, fucking random acts that people are doing because they're just so like fed up and frustrated, there's also going to be organizing, and it's happening with DSA. It's happening across the country, and I think hopefully we're seeing the end, the death throes of fascism and capitalism. It's all wrapped together and trying to survive as they're like kids trying to grab all they can before time runs out, and we kick them out, and the guillotines are sharpened, and we're ready. Like it's.
Well, that's my question: is do you think there will be retribution? Because I'm not convinced there will be.
I'm not convinced.
Or I'm not even. I'm not. I don't hear anybody calling for it right now. Really.
I mean, I hear some progressive candidates calling for like there has to be accountability. Like you just saw Abdul saying, like, we need to abolish ICE and prosecute the people who are responsible. Yeah. Do I think there'll be sacrificial lambs offered up? Of course. It's going to be Bernie Madoff all over again. There's going to be a bunch of Bernie Madoff. Maybe, I don't even know if you get Trump in prison or like, you know, anyone in the Trump family in prison, which they should be. But maybe you get Stephen Miller or you get Peter Thiel. I don't, Elon Musk maybe. I don't know. But heads have to roll and be locked up or else, again, there'll be just random people kind of doing that anyway. And they might actually be safer in prison, if you want to be honest about it. So let's bring in, because those are pretty good segments, I think. Let's bring in Lumen, who has shown up and I believe is ready. I think he's ready. What's going on, bud?
One moment, I'm just checking my Robinhood account that I didn't know I still had. I have $1.15 in some kind of weird cryptocurrency.
I think I sold everything I had in that.
The AMC pump, yeah, I was on that too.
Yeah.
It was dope. It bought me a new washer dryer.
Nice. I lost $2,000.
Oh, you got in at the top, big dummy.
GameStop. Yep.
Come on, dog. No,
it was only after I bought when I was like, if it hit Twitter, then it's probably over. Yeah. I was in that Reddit, the Wall Street Bets Reddit, like, I believe all the conspiracies. I could see how people fall down the Alex Jones shit.
I still lost. I didn't lose money. I put my Biden bucks in there, and I got up to like 10 grand at one point, and then it went down to 6. And I was like, gotta get out, gotta go.
Yeah.
I put that.
I don't understand how people gamble. I really
it's.
don't.
I mean, I can tell you all about it. It's disgusting. The worst days in a gambler. The worst day in a gambler's life is his first big win. I'm telling you right now. I goofed around in my 20s and I won a poker tournament, And I can tell you that was the worst day of my life. Like, no joke.
Yeah.
Like, I had to pull myself back. It was like a decade long, like, just push, just trying to become a professional poker player. And I realized I was good enough to know I wasn't good, but it could have got real dark. Like, there was a time where, like, I used to just go to work to play poker. Like, I was playing poker 12 hours a day. Yeah, it was
okay.
It was a goof, dude. I mean, it wasn't that bad. I was still paying bills. Like, it wasn't that crazy, but it got to it. Yeah, to the point where it was just like everything I did revolved around poker, and I was like, this has got to stop. Yeah.
But that's what you have to do in order to be good at it. Like, in order to get to a professional level, you have to go through that grind. I know some guys who tried. The smart ones made enough money to pay for school and then pay off their school debt, and then they, you know, got real jobs. Like, this one guy I know did real well doing that. But yeah, no, I agree with you. The first big win is the worst in a gambler's life, because it just gives you this false sense of security, like you're going to keep winning and like you're going to be profitable and you're going to outlive the odds. And it feels, the word that no one uses to talk about gamblers is narcissism. And it's like, I'm so special. It's that bullshit in your head thinking, oh, wait, I'm going to put $500 down on black 3 times in a row and it's going to hit every single time. You know, I mean, like those kinds of things. Or, I mean, the most obvious are like sports bets, like thinking that you know better than the lines makers what is going to happen in a game, or what statistically is most likely to happen. I mean, it's just not. I knew someone that did an algorithm for that strategy, the fantasy, whatever, the fantasy, FanDuel, stuff like that, and he did real well. But then they figured him out too.
Yeah,
he had like a a season. He had like a season that he made like $100,000, and then they cut him off. They're like, no.
That's how it works. Yeah. That's exactly how it works. They don't want winners. I mean, for me, for me, it's weird because you don't know what'll hit that thing in your brain. And you talk about the narcissism, and because you can make all these excuses about like, oh, I'm doing this so I can like not have a 9-to-5. I'm doing this so I can like better my life, better my family's life, like whatever. But at the end of the day, like I remember just thinking, man, like I'm doing this for the dopamine.
Yeah,
it's purely the dopamine.
The thrill.
All these other reasons are just cope. And the reason why like poker got to me, this is a weird thing that I think we go on about, but like the reason why poker got to me instead of other types of gambling is because it's a skill game. So it's like slots, blackjack, any kind of casino game doesn't hit the same thing for me, because I'm like, oh, this is nonsense. Like, I'm burning money. Like, I cannot win here.
Right.
You're going up against somebody. You're going up against somebody, so you're like, I'm definitely smarter than that guy.
Yeah.
I got outplayed. I can get better. I haven't read the right book. I haven't taken the right course. I haven't grinded enough hands. Like, so there's this thing of like, I can get better at it to where I can't get better at slots. So it doesn't have the same. So that's the addiction for me, is like I can progress. And I've noticed that with like other things in my life and like that are positive. If I have an addictive mindset, if I can just be like, okay, if I can get into a habit, then like the habit will take over. As long as that like I'm trying to build, like right now I'm doing like out of the blue. I've had ideas in my head I've wanted to get out. I'm building like a self-help. This goes into like, I kind of want to talk about Grand Platinum, but this goes into like a self-help, like stoicism, get your life in order app, and I'm addicted to it. I'm addicted to the progress, and it's the same kind of things that like if you don't master that, it'll lead you down to like a dark road. It's just like, how does my brain work? What can I get addicted to that's actually going to help my life and like not leave it destitute? That's what works for me.
You found what's do you want to plug that app or not?
Not yet, because it's not even in alpha. I'm probably gonna I've got it on the App Store, but nobody can get to it because I'm working through it myself. And then once that happens, I'll probably I'll plug it. I'm already talking to some of my like Twitch streamer friends who have a couple, because all I need is like 100 people just to poke holes in it. Just to find out where the weaknesses are so I can hot fix it. But once that gets going, it's like, this is kind of my like life's ambition.
Sounds amazing.
No, because I just want, Yeah, well, I'll put this into politics, and then this goes into like Graham Plattner and how Graham Plattner became the face of like the masculine left, even though he never claimed to be a leftist, a socialist, anything like that. But he was pushed so hard because we've lost a whole generation of men to the right wing because the left either for good the left is, and I want to say this as the left, I want to divide like. We'll get into it, like my whole idea on it, but like, I like women, queer folk, whatever. Yeah, if a woman tells me she hates all men, I don't feel any type of way about it. What I'm saying is this is our fault. If you're a cis straight man, and you're on the left, this is our problem that we have let the right wing hijack stoicism, masculinity, aggression, even. Aggression, just pure aggression, and putting that into a positive direction. We've let them hijack that, and it pushes young men into the arms of a Graham Plattner, a Joe Rogan, a Andrew Tate, a Cavicular, whoever. And this is our fault that this happened at all.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you say if there's a whole generation, so you're talking about a span of like a 20-year process in which this category of voter was kind of lost.
Yeah.
Right? So you're thinking who was in charge during those 20 years?
Pelosi, Chuck Schumer.
Yeah. But I mean, not
like,
just...
I was just my only point is like, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think you make a really good point. But just just wrap it up with some specificity because that shit's valid, but it lands and it sticks if you put some specificity on it because it's really fucking insightful and I can hear it. But you are, at least at the start of what you said, you come up against that fucking annoying anti-straight white man insecurity. And, you know, but I don't think that was a problem for you at all. But I would just make sure we acknowledge who was in charge over these last 45 years. Because that's really my message now is like, hey, you know, resentment's a natural thing. You know, frustration with life is a natural thing. Unfairness, anger, all these things are natural, right? We're coping. We're kind of growing up as a country, coping with these negative emotions. And all I ask is that people, you know, not preaching to you, but just more to the audience, is just do your homework since 1980. If you know everything that happened since 1980 really well, you can empathize with the people who hate politics in general, and then kind of maybe have conversations with them and get them involved and also make, you know, things like the DSA more culturally accessible, because that's what you know, Alex and I have been agreed upon is like the DSA is now kind of positioned very well to assert itself as like, you know, I hate the term kingmaker, but kind of a gatekeeper in a good way. You know, like if you earn that DSA endorsement, you really got to earn it. They're willing to recommend candidates a lot. That's not hard, but getting that full endorsement from the DSA is actually, as a member of the DSA, is very hard. Mm-hmm.
Michelin star.
Yeah, exactly.
As far as a vetting. But no, and please, no, I want you to preach at me. Like, I'm very confident in this is my whole thing. This is exactly what I kind of wanted to talk about. And it's like three guys sitting here talking about this stuff. And I feel like it's very important. I want you to push back if you feel I'm incorrect, or I've missed something, or I have a blind sight. I'm not a perfect guy. Like I'm a shitty dude. My wife, you know, she used to, and I'm trying to get a lot better at it. She'll disagree with me on stuff, and I'll be like, and instead of arguing with her, I'll be like, I didn't see it that way, and I'm glad that you told me, so now I can see it in a different perspective.
Right.
Because there's no light without heat, and I feel like the hashtag left, for very good reason. You know, again, if I'm not talking to women, I'm not talking to to femme presenting people, I'm not talking to queer people who feel ostracized. I'm talking to like whatever hashtag, whatever masculine men. I would consider myself a dude, bro. And if we don't like hash this stuff out because we're afraid to hash it out, then this is how this kind of Graham Plattner shit just keeps happening. It's gonna happen again.
Have you watched the FD video?
Again. Yeah, I did.
Videos? Yeah,
I did. And I'm very like, so I'm torn. I was just talking to my wife about this. I'm torn on Plattner in two different ways. But not in a way that I think a lot of people are addressing. And because I'm sure I haven't watched this space today, I'm sure all on this network, it's just been like Graham Plattner's discussing, Graham Plattner is an alleged rapist, blah, 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 which I don't see even that right there. That blah, blah, blah. I don't want to see like I'm minimizing anything.
Right.
I like this thing is super, super important. I just don't want to rehash what's already been said.
No, we have been.
Right. But I think the thing that's getting missed is that, so on one side, I've been watching, and I queued it up. I don't know if you guys have seen it or you want to spend time with it, but it's Ryan Grimm on Breaking Points today, who, like, I love me some Ryan Grimm, but he absolutely pissed me off because he's sitting here talking about how, if Plattner's going to drop out, how his team isn't being included in the, in the pick of his successor, of the person who's going to run for Senate in Maine. And it's ridiculous. It's a coup. And maybe they're doing this so they can get like a corporate Democrat in there who's going to be friendly to AIPAC or whatever. But I'm like, okay, bro, like, but that could all be true. But if you want to blame somebody for that, you blame Graham Plattner.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you blame, like I was watching again into dude bro stuff. I was watching the Egypt-Argentina game yesterday, the World Cup.
Yeah, great game.
The Egyptian coach is like, this game was rigged, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, maybe it was, but the referees didn't let 3 goals in 10 minutes. Your team did that. Your team let that happen. It was a complete collapse. So that in most generous, if I'm going to be running, if Robert Johnson, Lumen, was next up in line to run for, like, hey, we think this guy should run for the Senate, to be Democratic Senator of Maine. And the Graham Plattner team reached out to me and said, I'd be like, I'm not answering their calls. Like, I don't want to be associated with this. Does anybody think I don't want the Graham Plattner endorsement? Maybe that's why nobody's picking up. And probably, maybe that's not the case. But the whole reason we even have to wonder that is because of what Graham Plattner did when he gaslit and he scammed his constituents. I feel, obviously, and this is my 2-track thing, to like what's morally correct and what's like how to win an election for somebody who doesn't even believe in electoral politics. But it's like, these women who have been allegedly sexually assaulted by this man are at number 1 top priority. The second priority I feel terrible about is the voters and the people, anybody who's ever knocked a door, made a phone call, or gave up $1 for this guy who he completely gaslit, who all he wanted to do was win at any cost. He wasn't thinking about what's right for Maine. And and the thing is, they're like, well, we don't want to, and I'm sitting here watching dude on Breaking Points, Ryan Grimm, and he's like, yeah, they want to get a terrible shit lib in there. But I'm like, okay, but here's the thing with Graham Plattner. If Graham Plattner is going to gaslight me about what's that?
Do you have a time code for the video? Is it the Plattner assault story?
No, it's here. We can cue it up, and then I'll just get this last part, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's like that. Maybe they are trying to get a shit lib in there. But if Graham Plattner's going to gaslight me about a Nazi tattoo and gaslight me about sexual assault, how can I believe any of his bona fides that he's going to get money out of politics, do push for Medicare for all, and stop funding Israel? I can't. It's we Kamala Harris. We held it to the same standard. If you can't. If I can't trust you to say that it's a genocide in Palestine, then I can't trust you to fill my potholes. All these things are connected. But yeah, let me boot it up real quick. Let me see if can I do it?
Yeah, you can hit present.
All right, yeah, share screen, entire
Make
screen.
sure the audio's on there.
Yeah, you're right, because I always forget to click that. Lifesaver. Where is? Oh, here it is. Add to stage. Yeah, we'll watch a little bit of this.
Oh no, that's mine. My bad. Here, throw that. I'm gonna throw up yours.
I got you. Hold on.
Murphy Anderson last night posted a video urging that he do so and telling him and his campaign that he will have no say in who is chosen to replace him or how a candidate will be picked. Let's roll a little bit of Murphy Anderson.
Hi everyone. I wanted to provide you all an update on the U.S. Senate race here in Maine. As you know, the Maine Democratic Party has been working around the clock to develop a process to replace our U.S. Senate nominee that is open, inclusive, transparent, and fair. The integrity of this process is just as important as the outcome. We are committed to ensuring that Democrats across our state can have confidence in both. Unfortunately, Graham Plattner's team has repeatedly reached out to us in an attempt to put their thumb on the scale of what this process looks like. We have repeatedly reiterated to Graham Plattner's team that they have no role in determining our next Democratic nominee for the U.S. Senate, nor in determining what this process looks like. We have also reiterated that Graham Plattner must drop out of this race so that Democrats in Maine can focus on defeating Susan Collins this November. We look forward to making this process public as soon as Graham Plattner formally withdraws from this race.
And so the Plattner campaign responded to this, and we can add this in post. Campaign official told Sahil Kapoor, quote, "The Plattner campaign has reached out to the party to try and understand what this process would look like. At no point has the campaign tried to, quote, put its finger on the scale. Over 150,000 Mainers voted for this movement, and over 15,000 Mainers volunteered their time and energy to it. While Graham wouldn't want to be a part of the process, he would want to make sure the voters and volunteers make this decision, not the political establishment," unquote.
I mean, what say does he have at this point?
This is a coup.
Go ahead.
What say does he have at this point? What the
Exactly.
Fuck say does he have?
Well,
what the
here's-
fuck say does he have at this point? Shut your mouth and go home.
Hear Sagar and Jetty's and Ryan Grimm's like reasoning here, and then we'll discuss it.
All right.
That from the executive director to say we're not even going to answer their phone calls. He did win the nomination.
He won more votes. Look, can I just say, I'm not some Plattner fanboy. Okay? I literally said...
Can vouch. God does not like Plattner.
It's not that I hate Plattner. I've always thought he's like a Brooklyn cosplaying leftist. There's some sort of working Plattner. I think his background bears all of that out, okay? And so I'll save that I told you so for later. But to me, this is a principle matter. Like, this man won more votes in the Democratic primary than anyone in Maine history. And the Maine Democratic Party, who is that lady, by the way? I don't remember anybody voting for her across the state.
I think so.
Right?
She didn't run for anything.
Did she run for anything? Maybe. Look, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she got voted. Like, I'm not familiar
Maybe
exactly
state house member,
with
I
the
don't know.
bylaws of the Maine Democratic Party. I know that one person got more votes than anyone in the history of the Maine Democratic Party. And to say that he should have no say whatsoever in how the next person, if he were to step down to replace him, is totally insane. Insane. Because his volunteers, his people, his campaign are ultimately the ones who beat a sitting governor for the, in the Democratic nomination. Forced her out of the race. They beat the DSCC, and then to say that he's going to step down, which he doesn't have to do, that he should have no say in the process, it is as anti-democratic as it possibly could be. Because, Ryan, you and I both know they're going to try various different ways to make this seem open, super delegates or televised debates. Like, nothing beats voting, and they can't vote again. So it is, by definition, going to be an anti-democratic process.
They could do at least a caucus level situation. And what Plattner seems to be saying here is, I'm not trying to force you to take who I want you to take. And now, if an establishment candidate was getting pushed out of the race, by the way, they would appoint an establishment replacement. There would be no controversy about it, no question about it. It would be done in 12 hours. But an establishment candidate is not getting pushed out of the race. Plattner is. Plattner is not even saying he is insisting on like Troy Jackson or Shanna Bellows. What he is saying is that he wants to make sure that there is an inclusive process, that as many Democrats who participated in the primary process are able to participate in. And that could be a convention in Portland that has mini conventions in every county where there's a Democratic, like this is easily something that can be put together.
Yeah.
And so he's just asking, and this is within the power of the Maine Democratic Party to put together. It would be a kind of a shotgun thing. Probably be hard to pull off an entire primary where you count every single vote. But you could do a caucus type situation. They could figure something out. And Plattner's campaign is saying, what are you thinking? Because to your point, they don't want this to go into Janet Mills' office.
Yeah.
or her office,
because it's
and
fair.
just come out to smoke signal.
The voters rejected her.
Right.
Okay, fair enough. So in a vacuum, that logic works completely. But in reality, why do I? Let's say pretend that either one of us, I'm that guy. Why do I want my campaign anywhere near Graham, within 100 main miles of Graham Plattner? Having him know that he even communicated with my people would be a death sentence. So, and then if you're so uptight about this, be uptight about the person who put you in this position. Again, going back to the Egyptian collapse analogy, let's just say 100%. We have 100% proofs that the refs were in the bag for Argentina. Okay, but but if I'm kicking the ball into my own net, they had nothing to do with that, and that's what this is. You ran for Senate knowing you gaslighted me. I'm not even in Maine, but you gaslighted me and everybody else. Well, I'm also a Marine Corps vet, that you didn't know what that tattoo was, and I was okay with that because I was like, this whole idea of we got to get out of our minds of just like, if you're in the military in the United States, you're some kind of noble warrior. No, it's a frat. It's a frat when you're 19, 18 years old, and you might get to kill somebody for the state legally. Right. That's what it is. Let's not pretend. The same kids that are at 19 or in the Marine Corps, the same kids that are on the street in front of 7-Eleven.
But they might end up like you and go like, I was fucking wrong, and I want to dismantle all that.
Sure. But my point is, people get dumb tattoos every day. So I'm not saying that the tattoo thing is obviously it's not has any kind of weight next to the sexual assault allegations. What I'm saying is that because he gaslit everybody when that came out, that he knew exactly what that was and got it, it makes those, it's like, oh, if he's lying about this, which is a nothing burger, then of course he did this.
Yes.
Of course he's lying about this.
Well, he thought he was going to get away with it, dude. He thought he was
just a narcissist.
Yes, it is that simple. He thought he was going to get away with it. He thought he was above the rules. And, he just thought he believed his own press, man. They gave him, they for whatever reason, there was a surge of energy. Probably, we were talking earlier before you were on, that I think the contextual variable was the prospect of getting Susan Collins put out of pasture by a good-looking, well-spoken, working-class guy.
Yeah.
And that prospect became really valuable, almost like expecting America to beat Belgium, and then choking, and to use your sports analogy. Yeah. But I mean, my response to that is the point that he's making might be valid. It might be a valid point, but at this point, dude, what leverage do you have? What credibility do you think people want to hear from you? You fucking blew it. You blew it. You failed. You lost. Go home. Lick your wounds. Go on some sort of redemption tour. Write a book. I don't give a fuck. But your career in national politics is fucking over.
Yeah.
Right.
It's over.
I think, and I want to push back. It's not even a pushback. I just want to make a correction. Just like the verbiage of you blew it. He didn't blow it. He knew this going in. So either he lied to the team that vetted him,
right,
or his team already knew, which means I can't trust them either.
Or they
either
do a good job of vetting, exactly. Yeah.
Either they're evil or stupid. I don't know which one, and it doesn't matter.
He probably didn't think it was rape. He was just drunk, and like it was a drunk hookup with a chick that he was hooking up with at the time, and he doesn't even remember like forcing himself on her or anything like that. But obviously, like, she had a very different feeling about it, and she's taking a risk by going public, and that's ultimately what people respect, is that it's like, okay, what's the upside to this woman going public? Like, she's going to, she's taking a risk by doing so. Yeah, I just, she could have saved us all a lot of trouble if she'd gone earlier, but hey, it's a pretty personal thing, so.
I don't even want to swim. I don't even want to swim in those waters because even in the reporting, what I read was that, she's like, I'm conflicted because the politics are good. It's not on her. It's not on her. It's not on her. It's not on anyone. It's on him and his team.
It's the clip I played earlier of Hassan talking about, like, think about her calculation of, do I want, like, I would rather vote for my rapist just to get Susan Collins out.
Right.
Because she's protecting Epstein pedophile rapist. Which level of, like, I mean, this is the calculation that we all made in fucking 2020.
Exactly.
Biden or Trump. They're both fucking rapists. They're both fucking, but which one's worse? Like,
going back to what FD Signifier,
crazy.
I watched the FD Signifier video. He's like, look, if you're gonna vote for him, go ahead, but don't piss on me and tell me it's raining. And it's like, yeah, if I lived in Maine and he stayed
his initial
in,
video was like,
I wouldn't tell anybody. I would just go to the box and I would Grand Platinum. And I feel fucking sick about it.
FD's overall position, the last whenever he's talked about it, is not so much about him as a candidate, and electoralism is dirty and filthy. It's what the levers are right in front of us. His argument was, why is he on all these shows?
Right.
Why is he being elevated as like the voice of the left, the voice that could bring masculine people, and not Chris Rabb or Charles Booker or someone of color, and someone who doesn't have these fucking controversies.
Well,
what
if
is
you
it? And basically, it's a media critique of going, hey, Majority Report, hey, Kyle Klinsky, fucking look inwards a little bit and go, like, why weren't you having or showing as many clips of Chris Rabb as possible, or any of these other people? And then Chris Rabb, also interviewed by Breaking Points by Crystal, going like, I don't know. Like, people of Maine are going to make that decision. I'm not going to talk about that race. Like, he's like, and he was right. AOC also didn't endorse.
Smart.
In this clip, Ryan Grimm's getting a lot of heat for kind of talking about this, and also saying, like, there was also more context to something that Politico didn't report. I don't know. But the idea, look, I think you're right. Any Democratic organization should not want to hear from this guy. You too, Deter, like, get the fuck out. You fucked up. You lied and you get out of here. It's the, like, the volunteer Discord, the group chats, like the apparatus of the campaign, all the people who were like, I want to fight for these ideals. Because Emma Vigeland, I was watching her interview on Slate, is going like, these ideals are the thing that won him 50 points above Janet Mills. Was it his charisma and the way he articulated these ideas? Sure, maybe, but not entirely. It's the ideals, period. It's the policies, period. These are the policies that are winning in Colorado, that are about to, fingers crossed, knock wood, win Abdul El Sayed in Michigan, win all the people who won in New York, the people who weren't even endorsed necessarily by DSA, like Brad Lander. I mean, I talked about it when it happened. You guys weren't here, Deter, but Lindsey Boylan, who I campaigned for city council, the special election was in April. She lost the special election. So she decided she wasn't going to keep campaigning for the primary. I went to vote for the primary and didn't realize her name was still on the ballot. So I was like, oh shit, great. I'm going to fucking fill it in. The election results come back. She hadn't campaigned for 3 months. She got closer. Her margin of loss got less over time without campaigning. I interviewed last week Danielle Welch in this very time slot, who ran against Tom Suozzi, who's one of the Democrats who signed the promise to America that we will never move our centrist positions and we will not change the status quo. She ran the week of when petitioning started to get her name on the ballot. She had no one around her. Hell, this is the
How much longer?
This is the video I made with her. The interview, the cover I put on was hang on.
Hey, I'm gonna wrap. I'm gonna take this opportunity to bounce. I'm gonna bounce.
All right, man.
So it's good to see you, Lumen.
Yeah, good.
But
Good time, bro.
always a pleasure. Never forget, you don't get change in America by asking nicely. Take care, guys.
Absolutely.
Take care. So the video I have of her is this thumbnail that I made, because she said, I literally looked around in my district. I went to the meetings. I was looking around for a candidate who